You are watching No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and these are my views and opinions. Welcome to No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and you know what's driving me crazy? What's driving me crazy is this story about new texts from Peter Strzok. Remember him, or Strzok? The FBI agent who is disgraced and fired from the FBI. He and FBI lawyer Lisa Page. She also was disgraced. They both were having an extramarital affair. They were both married at the time, may still be. And they were texting against the president, and that's why the president is angry today. Now, this is not a new story that they were texting and that they were behind a lot of the investigation of the president while he was a candidate and after, because they did not want him to become president. So John McCain is in the mix. And President Trump last night was tweeting again against John McCain. Now, John McCain has been dead for a while. And you might say, oh my God, get over it. And he does need to get over it a little bit. It does remind me sometimes of this story back in history in 897 AD, after the death of Christ, where Pope Formosus put on trial. He dug up a dead pope, Pope Stephen VI, and he dug up the guy's dead body 7 months after he died and put the dead body, the dead pope, on trial. And this was not even his predecessor. He was the predecessor to the guy that Pope Formosus succeeded, Pope Boniface VI. This all took place in 897 AD, and sometimes I feel like the president is like this, but not this time, and I'll tell you why. Because more text messages from Peter Strzok to Beth Page, or Lisa Page, I think is her name, the FBI lawyer, have come out. And they have revealed that John McCain was behind giving this fake dossier. Now, you may know this, you may not. But in order to investigate President Trump, the FBI had to submit some kind of evidence. They had to submit affidavits, something to the FISA court in order to get a warrant, in order to spy on the president. So what did they submit? They submitted this dossier from this disgraced, alleged former CIA operative or MI6 operative. He was back and forth. His name was Christopher Steele, and the dossier was totally fake. It was based on fake stories. It has been discredited. And the FBI knew who was behind the dossier also, which is important, which is that Hillary Clinton and the Democratic National Committee paid for this. So John McCain, and this should be more evidence that John McCain was less than heroic. Yes, he was very heroic in Vietnam, but in his political life, not so much. So John McCain, it was revealed in the text messages, was behind giving the dossier to Carl Bernstein, the Washington Post reporter of Deep Throat Watergate fame, and who is now with CNN, or has a byline on CNN. And CNN was the media outlet that reported the dossier. Now, it's not necessarily news that John McCain had the dossier and that he gave it to somebody that somehow got it to the FBI, because a McCain aide, a former McCain aide, previously testified to that effect, that he handed off the dossier to journalists. So he must have been doing it at John McCain's insistence. John McCain hated the president. So when the president tweets against John McCain, this is why. John McCain, all this news is coming out about what John McCain did before his death. And we know that he also wrote stuff before his death against the president. So you can't blame the president for being against him. And this all started out not when Donald Trump said that he's not for prisoners of war that were captured. He said that after John McCain had been attacking him and his campaign for the presidency and his calls for more secure borders and for stopping the illegal alien problem, which John McCain was very, very soft on, was not good on. So I don't blame the president for texting about this last night. But The media doesn't cover it this way. The media covers it as, oh my God, this president is like Pope Formosus. He's still going after John McCain. But in this case, it's for good reason. And in a lot of the cases, it's for good reason. These text messages, by the way, were just released by Senators Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley on Wednesday. And they include this January 9th, 2017. So after the president was elected, but before he was sworn in, between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, where they talk about how this dossier was leaked to Carol Bernstein. So that's what drives me crazy. And there's a reason that drives me crazy, because I don't like the way the press is covering it. They're not covering the underlying story, which is why the president is tweeting against John McCain and against Peter Strzok, which is that how this all came about. This spying operation was illegal from the get-go. The FBI lied. They did not disclose things to the FISA court. If they had disclosed, this was from a Democrat-funded, Hillary Clinton-funded dossier, they would have never agreed to spy on the Trump campaign. They would have never granted the warrant. So the president has every right to be angry, but he probably should have kept John McCain out of it, because you can foresee what the media is going to say. They're not going to talk about the story and about these emails, these texts that were just leaked. They're only going to talk about, oh my God, President Trump still has an obsession with the dead John McCain. He's Pope Formosus, the reincarnation. So that's driving me crazy. Another thing that's driving me crazy is the New York Times. So the New York Times is always called the newspaper of record. Well, they're the liars of record, apparently. Listen, I don't trust any of the media, whether it's mainstream media, the New York Times, or whether it's Fox News, which, by the way, is mainstream media, pretending to be conservative, and it really isn't, or even the conservative media, these websites and so on. None of these people check their sources. As I've told you on the show before, there's this guy named Wayne Simmons, who was on Fox News for 13 years, for the 13 years after 9/11, pretending to be a CIA operative who was undercover on counterterrorism cases and terrorism cases. And in fact, he was a fraud. They never checked his bona fides. They never even called the CIA to verify if he'd ever worked there. They never asked him for any proof. They just put him on. And it turned out he was a fraud. And he used being on Fox News and this fake story to scam many people out of many of their bucks, a lot of their money. And he went to federal prison for that. So I call Fox News the Wayne Simmons News Network, but I call the New York Times the New York Lying Times, because they just lie so many times. We know they had this reporter, Jason Blair, who was an affirmative action reporter. He was promoted every step of the way, even though people knew that there were questions with his stories, whether he fabricated them, whether he plagiarized them. He did both constantly. But he was black, and they promoted him every step of the way, despite these concerns. They did that with another guy named Charlie LeDuff, who is now often on Fox News. And he got there because he claimed to be part Native American, American Indian. And he also got caught plagiarizing and fabricating stories. And he was fired from there. And he worked in many media outlets after that. So the New York Times, the story is, they had this podcast called Caliphate. It's from 2018. They put on this guy who claimed to be a terrorist. He claimed to be an ISIS terrorist that had participated in beheading. Now, he's a Canadian resident. So you wonder, why would Canada let somebody in who's beheading people? That's outrageous. His name was Shehroz Chowdhury. I think I'm pronouncing it right. The Canadian authorities arrested him, saying that it was all a fraud, that he lied. The New York Times now has had to apologize. This whole Caliphate podcast was a fake. None of the lurid crimes that he said he committed were true. Thank God. But this just goes to show how fake the New York Times is. They just don't tell the truth, and you can't trust them. So you cannot trust anything else they report. It just goes to show they never checked anything from this guy. Now, I don't expect them to go to ISIS and say, hey, ISIS, this guy work for you? Did he cut off people's heads? That's not how you do it, but they should have asked him for some kind of proof, and without it, they shouldn't have broadcast these stories, but they did. So that's the New York Times, that's Fox News, that's every media outlet. You just cannot believe them, and I will talk to you a little bit more about that in the New York Times. And Pete Buttigieg when we come back after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink for trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county.
Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
For the greatest selection and full menu offering is the Four Seasons Restaurant and Ice Cream Parlor in Garrison. Succulent sandwiches, big breakfasts served all day, and delicious desserts. Easy access in and out for campers and RVs. The Four Seasons Restaurant at the top of Main Street, Garrison.
Are you a thrill seeker, sightseer, or day tripper? The Ford Bronco Sport SUV is built for you. Fort Bears Casino is giving away a 2021 Ford Bronco Sport loaded with a ton of interior space, safari-style roof, smooth suspension for any terrain, and easy-to-clean surfaces. Qualify now just by playing your favorite slots at Fort Bears Casino. Double points on Sundays. Also get in on Super Senior Wednesdays, slot turning Thursdays, and hot seats on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Spin into Fort Bears Casino and Lodge for chances to win.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, we were talking about the New York Times and a lot of the other media that I just don't trust. Now, how do I decide what facts to believe? How should you decide? Well, it's up here. Use your critical thinking skills. Everybody has them, we hope. And if you don't have them, check your IQ. If you do have them, you got to sharpen them up. I get instincts. I have instincts. I get feelings when I read something that sounds too good to be true, or a lot of media are just repeating the same words, and I look it up and do my own homework. A lot of you don't have time to do that, but be suspicious. Be doubtful. When you read things, don't take it at face value, because a lot of these people are lying to you. It's not just the New York Times. It's not just Fox News. It's all the liberal media outlets. It's all the conservative media outlets. Listen, there's this website called The Federalist. It's founded and headed by this guy named Ben Domenech. I call him Mr. Meghan McCain. He's married to her. She is no fan of the president. She's not a conservative. She's the fake conservative who endorsed Joe Biden and is quite liberal and is on The View. Ben Domenech was fired from the Washington Post, where he was hired to be the token conservative. He was fired from National Review. They erased most of what he wrote. And when I say he wrote it, he didn't really. And turns out that it goes back to his college and maybe even high school days at his newspapers there. where he fabricated and plagiarized virtually everything he wrote. And now he's the head of the Federalist. When you read the Federalist, you can't believe what you read because is it fabricated? He's the editor-in-chief. Is it plagiarized? There's a lot of stuff in there that's plagiarized. And there is stuff there that's fabricated. You cannot trust it. You got to use what's up here. So the New York Times, they had this fake podcast with this fake terrorist who claimed that he was an ISIS beheader. They never tried to check it out. They never demanded any proof. They just took him at his word. You can't take people at their word. People are con artists, especially now. People lie. They want media attention. People are what we call fame whores, and so on. So they had him on there. This guy has now been charged by Canadian authorities. But the New York Times did something else. So they had this cookbook writer / columnist named Alison Roman. She was very popular, but here's the problem. She's white. So she's white, and she dared criticize 2 women who happen to be Asian. Therefore, she is racist, even though what she criticized them for had nothing to do with their ethnicity. She didn't mention their ethnicity, and everything she said, I could see as a legitimate viewpoint. I think maybe she was a little bit jealous, but I think it was a legitimate viewpoint. So she was interviewed by somebody else, some other media outlet, and she said that she could never take her cookbook writing and her food columns and turn them into outlandish things that have nothing, product lines that have nothing to do with cooking. And she cited 2 people. She cited Chrissy Teigen, the supermodel, who has cookbooks and who is constantly cooking. And let's face it, she is famous and gets all this attention partially because she's Asian. And also because she's married to a black man, John Legend, who's a very overrated singer. His real name is, I think, John Roger Stevens. And they get where they are because they're minorities. That's called minority privilege. They never talk about that. But if these people were white, they wouldn't be even famous. I don't think they would get record deals. He wouldn't get record deals. She would not be a huge model. She's okay. Not that attractive. There are many other more attractive supermodels, and she would not have all of this basically raves over her cooking and her cookbook. She's average. Everybody's a great cook. Go watch TV. You'll see a million cooking shows. Go to the Food Channel. Go to the Master Chef shows. There are good cooks are a dime a dozen. Go to a restaurant. Go support a local restaurant instead of these people. But she said, I would never have a line of items. I guess Chrissy Teigen has like furnishings now. And Marie Kondo, she criticized, who is also Asian. Marie Kondo, the person who is all about decluttering. And because she criticized that they have product lines, which, again, I think she was a little bit jealous of their product lines and that they are making all this money. She's making plenty of money, too, or was before this. So now she's been fired by the New York Times for daring to criticize anybody Asian. So the next time you criticize someone, if you want your business to succeed and you want to continue writing for the mainstream media, make sure you look first what ethnicity they are. And if they're not white, shut up. Because you can only criticize white people now. Particularly if they're white males, have at them. I mean, this is where we are headed now. This is where things are going. And not only headed, we're there. We are there. So that's the New York Times for you. They won't check sources or stories or facts for terrorists, but they'll fire a woman because she dared criticize competitors. That's where it's at. She was professionally jealous. That's her only crime. And frankly, that's not a crime. Everybody has feelings like that. Everybody. Now, another guy somebody I really don't like, Pete Buttigieg. So as I've been telling you, Joe Biden appointed him as his Secretary of Transportation merely because Pete Buttigieg sleeps with men. That's the only reason, let's be honest. If he were not gay, he'd be nowhere. He wouldn't even be talked about. He didn't do well in the field of 22 Democrats. I'm not even sure if he got any delegates. But he came in towards the bottom. But he's gay. So because he's gay and he's one of the most prominent gays in politics now, we have to worship him and appoint him to things because Joe Biden has constituencies to please. And they're all basically the gays, the blacks, the Hispanics, the trans. And if you're not in these groups, forget about it. just forget about it. So Pete Buttigieg has no experience running a giant department like that. He ran South Bend, it's a small town of 100,000 people, plus maybe a couple 2,000. And he was asking Domino's Pizza to fix potholes. Now he's going to run our road systems, our national highways. He is going to be in charge of major, major things. The Department of Transportation oversees when we transport our missiles and high-grade weaponry on the federal highways. These are top secret things. I mean, it's a good thing he's out that he's gay, so nobody can blackmail him over that. But still, you want this guy who's the mayor of South Bend running this kind of stuff? I don't. But I want you to watch this short video of him. He's plagiarizing Obama. Watch this.
The way we do every other election, by giving it to the person who got the most votes. Just a thought. Brings us together. Now, this country was built.
And
it is a
cools,
movement reaching into
and church basements
and barbershops
and in our schools,
into universities
and with our
union
kids.
halls.
And if the voice
we can
can
line
change
up
the
the
world,
neighborhoods and we
it
can
can
line
change
up the
the
city.
city.
Shines as a beacon
to the
around the
world.
once more. And
This is our chance to answer that call.
Well, we know why Joe Biden likes him, because Joe Biden's a plagiarist himself. We know Joe Biden dropped out of one of the previous of the many presidential races he's run because he plagiarized a speech by Neil Kinnock and pretended it was his own and his own life story. He plagiarized in his academic career. He's a liar. He lied about where he finished in his class and what scholarships he got or didn't get and so on. So now we can see why he is liked by Joe Biden. Now, one last thing before we go to the break. Take a look at this tweet from National Public Radio. So Pete Buttigieg says he has a personal love of transportation, recounting train trips on Amtrak while in college. Said he proposed to his now husband, Chasen, in an airport terminal. Aw, how nice, how cute. But you know what? You shouldn't be running the Department of Transportation. We all love transportation. We all got to get places. Doesn't mean we're qualified to run it. When we come back, No Filter movie reviews. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie. I'm back.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
They say when the going gets tough, the tough get going. At OK Tire, we're here to keep you going. From Firestone tires and replacements to retreads and even Firestone tracks, we have you covered. Our certified Firestone experts are ready to get you back up and running, no matter if you're on site or in the field, saving you time and money. OK Tire, we keep the tough going.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Kohler Samurai and the innovative BRT Renegade, as well as the best-built, best-backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So it is Friday, and there are plenty of movies out. Now, as I've told you many times on this show, I am a movie critic. I review movies for several national and local media outlets, and I perform a service. I see the horrible movies, and believe me, most of them are horrible. So you don't have to. So you don't waste $10 plus. And who knows how much more if you're paying for popcorn and pop and soda and also other stuff. But I also save you about 2 hours or more of your life. You'll never get back. So most of the movies, again, are not good, but some of them are kind of decent. I have to grade on a curve because it is COVID season, where basically nothing new is getting released that's really good or is a blockbuster, because they want people in movie theaters, although Wonder Woman 1984 is going to be released online on Christmas Day and in theaters. So let me just tell you what's out today. There is this movie called Wander Darkly. I hated this movie. This movie is about a couple who's always fighting. They have a daughter, and they get in a car accident, and then the wife thinks that she's dead, and it appears she's dead. She sees her funeral, but as I say on this show, things are not always as they seem. Is she dead? Isn't she? She doesn't know. And her husband, it keeps popping up. There are flashbacks. You don't really know what's going on. And when you finally find out, you don't really care. I mean, I think I figured out what was going on because I've seen enough of these movies. But I had to sit through all of their marital strife for this movie. Who wants to go see that? You can go to divorce court. There's all this yelling and screaming and crying and shrieking. Who needs to see that? Why would you pay money to see this? So Wander Darkly, I hated this movie. And on my rating system, Marxes are bad, Reagans are good. This gets 3 Marxes. 3 Marxes. It's a terrible, terrible movie. So skip that. Now, a movie that's out today streaming and in theaters is called Fatale. Now, this is sort of a remake and a kind of a little twist on Fatal Attraction. So this stars Hilary Swank and Michael Ealy as the people that would have been in Fatal Attraction, except she's the evil white cop, and she's out to get the black family. I could have done without the race angle, which was very obvious in this movie. They don't say it, but it's there. It's very clear. So he is married. He and his wife are having marital strife. He goes to Vegas. He sleeps with Hilary Swank and leaves. And then there's a break-in in his house, he and his wife's house. It turns out she's the police detective that's investigating. And then there's a lot of twists and turns to this. She can't take being rejected. She blackmails him, does all kinds of stuff. Now, this movie was at best, a Lifetime damsel in distress, or in this case, he's the damsel movie. It just was bad. The original Fatal Attraction is so much better. This was just, it relied on crutches like fancy cars. I think it's a Lamborghini that's in the movie. Although it looks like it could be a vintage Bricklin car or something else, but it looks like a Lamborghini and this very modern, cool house and all these accoutrements. You know what? When movies use that, it's a crutch because they need to make it interesting because the actual movie ain't that interesting. There's a lot in this movie that's not very believable. There are interviews with him, and we all know that interviews in police stations, in rooms with cops, are being recorded. Do you think they would have let her continue to investigate a case when they know, because they've talked about it in the room during the interview, that they had an affair? No, she'd be pulled off the case. There's just a lot of holes. It's a very cheesy movie. It belongs on Lifetime. But we're in COVID time now, so this kind of stuff goes to the theaters. My rating on this movie is half a mark. Because it was somewhat interesting. It keeps you occupied. It wasn't boring, but it wasn't a good movie. Now, the next movie that's out today was not bad. It's called Greenland. So Greenland is your typical Gerard Butler movie. Now, Gerard Butler is the star of the movie. He plays the father. The mother is Marina Baccarin. You know her from Deadpool and from the Gotham TV show. She is, and also the show Homeland. They are a couple that's also having marital strife. There's a lot of that going on in the movies. And there are comets heading towards Earth. And there's a comet, and then the comet breaks up into pieces, and the world may be destroyed. And he and his wife, they're trying to rescue, with their son, they're trying to get away to Greenland, where they understand there are military bases and so on. And it's like basically one escape after another, one bad situation, harrowing situation after another. It was exciting. There's lots of suspense. Not a great movie, but it's typical of what you would expect from a Gerard Butler action movie. So it's not bad. There have been other movies with this idea. This is not the first. There was the movie in 1979 called Meteor. There was, I believe, a 1987 movie called Asteroid. And these were both about meteors heading for the Earth, and it might destroy the Earth. The idea is not original, but the plot, it's your typical Gerard Butler action movie. Like I said, it's not bad. It's a good popcorn movie. I give it on my rating scale 1.5 Reagans. Then there is Safety. Safety is based on a true story about a Clemson University scholarship football player. He comes from the inner city. He has a single mother who's hooked on drugs. She is in jail and then at rehab, and there's nobody there to care for his young brother. So he sneaks his brother into Clemson, where he's not allowed to be, and he takes care of his brother. It was an interesting, entertaining movie, but it's a little slow. And could they have one nice white person in the movie, please? Would it have killed them? Everybody white in this movie is horrible and has no compassion for him. From the woman that's at the bookstore, to the assistant coaches, to his professor that won't let him take an exam when he's a minute late. Everybody white is evil and mean. I hate that. We don't need more of this divisive race stuff. And it seems like that's par for the course for these movies. You got that in the movie Fatale. You have it in this movie. And then the final new movie of the week is called... Oh, by the way, on my rating scale, I gave it half a Reagan. Sorry, I forgot that. The final new movie of the week is called Minari. It is about a Korean family of immigrants that comes to the United States. They're trying to grow Korean vegetables down south. It's a very tough go. They're having a very tough life. It's very hard for them to break even. And to make ends meet. It's your typical immigrant story. I did not think it was a bad movie at all. Just don't know. It was a little slow. I wouldn't pay $10 to see it. Also, I did not like the way they kind of mocked the one Southern guy that's kind of helpful to them. Many of the Southerners are helpful, but the most helpful, he's an evangelical Christian, and they mock that he speaks in tongues and carries a wooden cross. I could have done without that part, but otherwise it's a good movie. But still, would I pay that much for it? $10 to go see it? I don't know. All right, when we come back, we'll have a couple oldies but goodies movies, and then we'll get back to politics and some North Dakota stories after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Howdy, folks. It's the County Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the County Line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
For the greatest selection and full menu offering is the Four Seasons Restaurant and Ice Cream Parlor in Garrison. Succulent sandwiches, big breakfasts served all day, and delicious desserts. Easy access in and out for campers and RVs. The Four Seasons Restaurant at the top of Main Street, Garrison.
Are you a thrill seeker, sightseer, or day tripper? The Ford Bronco Sport SUV is built for you. Four Bears Casino is giving away a 2021 Ford Bronco Sport loaded with a ton of interior space, safari-style roof, smooth suspension for any terrain, and easy-to-clean surfaces. Qualify now just by playing your favorite slots at Four Bears Casino. Double points on Sundays. Also get in on Super Senior Wednesdays, slot turning Thursdays, and hot seats on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Spin into Four Bears Casino and Lodge for chances to win.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, I was doing my movie reviews. I forgot to tell you my rating for Minari is half a Reagan. Now on to a couple oldies but goodies. So I will start with Pawn Sacrifice. And Pawn Sacrifice is a great movie. It's about the American chess champion, Bobby Fischer. It's about his life and about some of his great chess matches and how he beat the Russians. And it's just a fascinating movie. It's based on a real life story. We know that Bobby Fischer was a great chess champion. It's just very interesting. I enjoyed it. We all know that chess is, as I've talked about on this show, really the game for smart people. You've heard the saying, they're playing chess and we're only playing checkers. You know, I think that is a great statement about our enemies. In America, we do play checkers. We need to learn how to play chess. I think if more Americans got into chess, maybe we'd be a little bit smarter. And I've talked about on this show how chess has really taken off because of the show on Netflix, The Queen's Gambit. And so that has really taken off. A lot of Americans are getting into it. They're teaching their kids chess. That's a good thing. The movie is very entertaining. I give it 3.5 Reagans. Now, the other movie, this is a great movie to see with your kids. And if you are an adult, as you should be, you're most likely, if you're watching this show, we're all adults here. But sometimes we like to watch stuff with our kids. I don't have children, but if you do, I'm sure you like to watch stuff with your kids that you will find entertaining as well, and also wholesome. And I'll tell you, you got to see this movie. It's Paddington 2. Now, I never saw the first Paddington. Goes against my usual policy. I usually try to see a movie before its sequel, but the original Paddington got horrible ratings, was not a good movie according to many. This movie, you don't have to have seen the original. I never did, to enjoy. This is just a great movie. It's a standalone. It's delightful. It is eye candy. It is hilarious. It is great for your kids. It's great for you. I just enjoyed it. It was one of my 10 best movies the year it came out, I think a couple of years ago. This is, like I said, a must-see. It's a for Reagan movie. Paddington 2. Rent that. Stream it online. Your kids, I'm telling you, will love it. And you will love it too. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So, for Reagan movie. And now, to somebody that is decidedly not for Reagan's, but definitely for Marx's. And I really do believe that she is like a Soviet plant in this country. If there still were a Soviet Union, she would be the perfect plant. So she's like a Cuban plant, a Venezuelan plant, Chinese plant. She's just not an American plant. She doesn't care about America that much. And that is AOC. So AOC, there was this secret poll of Democrat leaders, and she got trounced in this secret poll by the House Democrats, the newly elected. And she said in press reports, well, I'm not ready to be speaker yet, but Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have to go. He's mad about Joe Biden's 2 conservative appointments. He thinks his appointments are not radical enough. Please, they're very radical. Are you serious? That's conservative. But whenever anybody says, oh, I'm not ready to be speaker yet, if they are even talking about themselves and speaker in the same sentence, that means they think they are going to be speaker and they are ready to be speaker and they should be speaker. She's an egomaniac. We all know it. She's a narcissist. She does videos on her makeup and beauty routines. She whines ad nauseum, ad absurdum about the Green New Deal, yet she has very long hair that we know wastes water and resources. It wastes energy. It wastes a lot of hair product. If you're for the Green New Deal, you should shave your head. I'm not joking. I'm serious. If you're for the Green New Deal, but you have long locks like she does, you're wasting and you're a hypocrite. You're telling all of us to sacrifice, to lose our jobs, to lose businesses, to shut down America, basically, which is what the Green New Deal will do. To shut down North Dakota and our oil industry and our fracking industry and our farming industry because, sorry, those tractors, they ain't electric, all right? They can't, no farm is going to run on all electric vehicles. It's very costly. It's very hard. Go find an electric plug to plug your car in, your tractor in. Good luck with that. She is a narcissist. She's a hypocrite, but she's ready to be speaker. That's basically what she was saying when she said, I'm not ready to be speaker. You know the type. You know the type. All right, she believes her own press. Then there is Minneapolis and another narcissist. So all throughout Minnesota, crime is rising, but especially in Minneapolis where they cut the budget. Remember this whole defund the police baloney that even the Democrats admitted. Barack Obama admitted it. Joe Biden tried to downplay it. Jim Clyburn, the member of Congress that is the only reason Joe Biden became the Democrat nominee, said it. We had that Southern Democrat from Texas whose name escapes me. He said it. The defund the police business lost the votes. Americans don't like this. But apparently Minneapolis residents do like it because they elected Black Lives Matter, defund the police individuals to the Minneapolis City Council. And now the murder rate in Minneapolis has gone way up. It's actually up 90%. All right. And their crime rate is soaring. You have this throughout Minnesota. You got in Duluth, you have their opioid crisis, opioid-related crime. They've had their worst quarter, not only in opioid-related crime, but also opioid deaths. You need the police to stop these things. You're not going to be able to stop them when you defund the police. So in Minneapolis, Stan, my name for Minneapolis, you know I'm right. You've got this guy, Jamal Osman. So Jamal Osman, I think he's a black Muslim. He ran on defund the police and he got elected to the Minneapolis City Council. He ran on defund the police. They cut the police budget by at least $1 million. Plus, a lot of Minneapolis police quit because would you want to be treated the way those police in Minneapolis were treated or all over the country after the whole Derek Floyd thing or George Floyd thing? Would you want that to happen? No. And I'm not saying it's okay to put your knee on somebody's neck, but we know that that's probably not why George Floyd died. So anyway, Jamal Osman, he ran on defunding the police, and now he's asking, where are the police? Where are the police? I don't know. Maybe they went the way of that $1 million plus that you cut from the police when you ran on defund the police. Maybe that's where they went. Blue bat. All right. Now, Lisa, I think her name is Bertrand. Lisa Bertrand. She is the council president. She also was supporter of defunding the police. She's also trying to pretend now, she and Mr. Osman, that they weren't for this. Now that the murder rate and the crime rate has soared there. Hypocrites. You know what? They're just like the Biden administration, because guess what? Joe Biden, well, we will tell you about this after the break, but Joe Biden hired a defund the police specialist to his top advisor team. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Howdy, folks. It's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a cum roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county.
Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
They say when the going gets tough, the tough get going. At OK Tire, we're here to keep you going. From Firestone tires and replacements to retreads and even Firestone tracks, we have you covered. Our certified Firestone experts are ready to get you back up and running, no matter if you're on site or in the field, saving you time and money. OK Tire, we keep the tough going.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Coulter Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best-built, best-backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, I told you about Joe Biden, everything that's wrong with him, it just seems to pile up day after day after day. And I told you about the defunding of the police in Minneapolis. And I told you about how Joe Biden, many of his advisors said that they were against defunding the police. They tried to walk away from it. They said that it was a bad slogan. It helped them lose a lot of votes in a lot of the House and Senate races. And Joe Biden tried to pretend he wasn't for it during the campaign. So apparently he was for it. He tried to sit on the fence on this and play both sides. Well, guess what? He's hired an advisor who is a donor to defunding the police organization. So he hired this woman who said that her name is Carter, and she donated to the Marguerite Casey Foundation. The Marguerite Casey Foundation was the big funder of a lot of the defunding police movement, a lot of the Black Lives Matter marches, and she wanted to defund the police. And now she's associated with anti-police activists. She's one of Joe Biden's top advisors now. So good luck with that. Joe Biden having a top advisor, Ms. Carter, who is for defunding the police. And let me tell you something. Joe Biden is going to push this defunding the police business. He pretended he wasn't for it during the election. He's for it. All right, so that's Joe Biden. Now, let's get to some North Dakota stuff because this kind of relates to Joe Biden. So, the CARES Act money. I told you about this before on the show. North Dakota has a very important fracking industry. After oil, it is one of our largest energy industries, that and coal. After oil, it's oil, fracking, and coal. Those are the big three. Those are our largest energy industries. We are not an electric power state. We're not equipped to be that. So I told you this before. The governor put some of the CARES Act money towards fracking. Now, I'll tell you what's behind this. It is because the fracking industry lost business and jobs because of COVID. So there is a COVID angle to it. But it's also because North Dakota was given a lot of money, almost $2 billion, I believe it was, to spend for COVID relief. And we have not spent all of the money. And guess what? If we don't spend the money by New Year's Eve, we lose it. So you can say goodbye to that money. Now, there were 800 jobs that are being created with this money. This is very important. But guess what's happening? A watchdog group that none of us asked to watch this, they filed a lawsuit against the governor in the state of North Dakota to not give the $16 million of CARES Act money, which is a drop in the bucket compared to all the money we got. And it's very important, again, that we use this money because we're going to lose it. So it'll go nowhere if we don't give it out. But that's not the case in the minds of the Dakota Resource Council, which has sued. And they're suing, and so is North Dakotans for Public Integrity. Usually when they say they're for public integrity, they're really just for left-wing causes, not integrity or any of the public interests. They said it's unnecessary favoritism to the oil industry. They say the money is supposed to go directly towards CARES Act money. Now, CARES Act functions. Now, I've heard from some of you on Facebook that you think the money should have gone to creating jobs for people in North Dakota who lost it or to subsidizing businesses that are struggling. I agree with you. Money should go to that, and some money is going to that. But this is part of that. They are a business. The fracking industry has lots of businesses in it that make up the industry. There are lots of jobs there. It's not a zero-sum game. We have plenty of money. We need to spend it. Yes, give some of the money to jobs, job creation and training, and business, bolstering the businesses. That's happening. There's plenty of that. And you can look online on the North Dakota website for how to get that money. A lot of it's been given out. They're giving out more. We have to spend it by the end of the year. I think this lawsuit is ridiculous, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere. The governor does have some leeway how he can spend this, and this is CARES Act related. Now, Enbridge Line 3 in our neighbors to the east in Minnesota. There is this woman, I told you about her before. She's a Native American left-wing, far left-wing activist. She hates America. She's just ridiculous. Her name is Winona LaDuke. We showed you footage of her several shows back of her calling the people that work on the Dakota Access Pipeline that they were like the people who turn on the gas at Auschwitz, which my grandparents were Holocaust survivors. most of both sides of my family were wiped out in the Holocaust. That's just disgusting. To say that honest people working an honest day's job, trying to get us energy, cheap sources of energy, that because they're doing that, they're like the guards and the people who flip the switch at Auschwitz. It's ridiculous. Well, now she's saying that Enbridge Line 3 is blood oil. Watch this.
This is like, you know, like blood diamonds. This is like what blood oil looks like in Minnesota.
All right, let me just tell you, blood diamonds, people are murdered in pursuit of blood diamonds. They lose their limbs are hacked off. That's why they're called blood diamonds. None of that is happening with Line 3. This is just an attack on the oil industry. Our oil industry, Minnesota's oil industry. And you know what? Not going to knock out the oil industry. It's just going to drive the price of gas up. You want to pay $6 a gallon like they do in California? Listen to her. Otherwise, just ignore her. She's like a fly in the ointment. A fly in your soup. Get rid of it. All right. Now, over the weekend, this is very, very important. We have our veterans that we want to remember who passed away. So the first wreaths to deliveries were loaded or unloaded in Bismarck on Thursday, and over the weekend on Saturday, 7,250 wreaths will be placed on veteran headstones at North Dakota's Veterans Cemetery. This is very important because we have to remember those who made the sacrifice to serve this country and knew that they could at any moment be subject to the ultimate sacrifice. They didn't know if they'd be sent to war or lose limbs or whatever. So we salute them. Saturday, they're laying the wreath. There is a public wreath laying beginning at 11. You can do it privately from 9 to 11. And it will be viewed on Wreaths Across America Bismarck Facebook page on Saturday at 11 a.m. So remember, things are not always as they seem, but for our veterans, their sacrifice is not only what it seems, but it's a lot more. Have a great weekend. See you Monday.